How dumb are Pennsylvania Democrats? They didn't just vote in a stroke victim, they re-elected a dead man. Despite all the warning signs, a majority of Pennsylvania voters elected John Fetterman, a man who can barely speak. Fetterman had not recovered from a stroke from earlier in the year, as evidenced by his terrible debate performance. But most outlets have called his Senate race as a victory over Republican Mehmet Oz. It's pretty shocking that enough voters would overlook obvious signs of cognitive decline, but it wasn't the first time. But just how out of it are some PA voters? This out of it, they voted for a dead man. And he won. From the Washington Examiner. A Pennsylvania man who died earlier this year was re-elected to his position as a state representative. Democrat Tony DeLuca, the longest-running Pennsylvania state representative, at 39 years, died last month at 85 of lymphoma, according to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Because of his recent death, election authorities were unable to change the ballots, and many voters chose him over Green Party challenger Quioni Azara Livingston, marked by a sizable lead. A special election will be held to choose a proper candidate to take his seat. Tony DeLuca was an 85-year-old Democrat who served as a state representative for 39 years. If there was ever a man who should have stepped down years ago, it was he. But he died last month of lymphoma, just before the election. You'd think voters would have known that one of their candidates was no longer living, right? Shouldn't have voters checked the latest news before going to the polls? Aren't they paying attention to updates from campaigns and election officials? Obviously not. Because DeLuca won the election, despite being 6 feet under. This should be a red alert for every American and candidate. There are far too many voters totally unaware of what is going on. One commentator claimed voters intentionally voted for a dead man to trigger the special election. Yeah, right. Anyone that knowingly voted for a dead man is dumber than those too stupid to find out if their candidates are still alive or not. That is not the reason the late DeLuca won. It's because too many American voters are not paying attention. They just do whatever the mainstream media tells them to do. Just like after 2020, too many liberals put their heads in the sand, ignoring everything. They did that with Joe Biden and his many failures. And they did that in Pennsylvania. If Republicans ever want to win, they need to work even harder to reach these people, forcing them to wake up.